Hey, you know what time it is. Time for some Buccaneers football talk on the Cannonballs podcast. Let's do this.
I'm about to whip somebody's ass. Oh, I'm about to whip somebody's ass. Oh, if you don't leave me alone, you're gonna have to send me home. 'Cause I'm about to whip somebody's ass.
Welcome to week 2 of the Cannonballs podcast. I'm your host, Tree. I know what's up with them name, right? In my younger days, this was my nickname, and it started when I used to play basketball. I played basketball in high school, state won a championship, and I also played in the military. And one of the guys on our base team thought that I looked like Tree Rollins, for those old school folks who can remember him, and that's how the nickname started. It stuck with me. When I started my professional career after the military, you know, as a senior manager, you don't want to be called by a nickname, so I went by my given name, Ken. But now I'm back to the name I love. I love that nickname. So, Tree, going forward. And I think that's what you'll see now on my Twitter account as well. So, this show is about Todd Bowles' defense, but we have to start with the change at the top in Bruce Arians. Organizations are a reflection of their leadership because successful leaders build organizations to their own image. Leading a multi-billion-dollar organization, even from the operational level, takes a surety in goals, direction, and purpose. It is the confidence in these goals, these factors, that define how well the organization will advance and whether or not it will be successful. It is the unity of effort, goals, direction, and their purpose that drives and to some point will define the organization. Real leaders don't have to ask people to follow them. People seek them out for the pleasure of following them. But it starts with talent. If you don't know what you're doing, your plans don't matter. So the first key factor is the right attitude and approach to the goal. The Bucs were heading in the wrong direction, lost on a roll of irrelevancy. The Bucs needed a change in attitude. Bruce Arians was that change. Bruce said this in the words that were extracted from JoeBuckFan.com website. Change the entire philosophy of the defense and really the whole organization. We're not going to read and react. We're going to attack. Bruce Arians, in my opinion, is one of the brightest football minds in the game. Plus, he's got swag. I know. What does swag got to do with anything, right? Never, ever underestimate the psychological aspect of the football game. I can think of at least 2 recent Super Bowl games where we watched Bill Belichick stare down his opponent in the close of the game, doing nothing but looking blankly, staring across at his opponent. Actions that alone caused a good coach to pass the ball instead of run the ball on 2nd and goal with one of the greatest running backs in the history of the NFL on that side of the ball. And another to go into shotgun. Then a 5-step drop and attempt a deep pass while up 28-12 with 8 minutes 40 seconds left in the fourth. Less than 15 yards from midfield. It was all the Patriots could do to win with literally everything going right following that boneheaded call from the Falcons coaching staff. A run for a first down might have been enough to win even if they didn't score on that drive. Make 35 yards, kick a field goal, and go up 3 scores, and that absolutely would have won the game. But it was the fear of what Belichick might do that forced the opponents, the Falcons, to do stupid shit, to push to do more when sound football was all that was needed. That play swung the momentum. The psychological high ground was then owned by the Patriots. From where I stand, Bill Belichick's coaching won the Patriots' last 3 Super Bowls. Of course, the fabulous play of TB12 was important too, but save the boneheaded plays in 2 games and the defensive dominance of the last season's Super Bowl embarrassment, I would argue that those games do not go the Patty's way without the great mind and the psychological dominance of Belichick. Simply stated, get in the opponent's head and you have a tremendous advantage. Arians has a style about him. How can I describe it? Imagine 5 or 6 guys sitting around a table, just normal chatting, just guy talk, back and forth, bantering. That table's not equal, because if you watch in almost every crowd like that, there will be one guy who speaks and everyone else shuts up, turns their head and looks directly at him and listens. They do that because they are drawn to his words, they are drawn to his persona. It's natural leadership. You can't teach that stuff. No one can teach you how to be that. It's born in you. I think Bruce Arians has that. When he speaks, people want to hear what he has to say. And he gets people. He finds a way to connect with each person. You know the popular phrase, treat people the way that you want to be treated? That's wrong. This is simply not the way it works. You have to treat people the way they want to be treated. And he's been accused already of mind games. This is what he said to DeMar Dawson.
What did you see from DeMar Dawson on film, studying him and making
he can still pass block. I mean, to me, that's where you start. Now, can he get better in the running game? Yeah, but sometimes you're asking a guy who just physically can't do something. I've had a couple tackles that really good pass blockers that couldn't cut off to the left. Don't ask them to. Run. It's no secret. We'll run some plays just one way. All right? It's the only way it's in the game. We're going to run it right. They know it. We know it. Stop it. But don't ask him to do a bunch of that. You still have to do some of it, but don't ask him to do a bunch of it because he's going to lose. But he can still block.
How did Dawson respond to this challenge? Because that's what it was. It was a challenge. Dawson put his head down and he went to work, gaining a compliment from Arians later in camp that Dawson had been impressive or something to that effect. Earlier in the year, Arians pumped up Hargraves because after coming off a season that ended in injury, Hargraves needed a little confidence.
But back to your question, playing outside is what I want to do. That's what I do. And, smiling, I don't have words for it. I don't know why Coach Arians feels that way about me, but I love it. He doesn't know me. he doesn't have to say anything about me, you know. But you know, I love it. That's that confidence that I need. That's that confidence that we need as a secondary, and you know, we're excited. The whole group is.
To keep him motivated, Arians made this comment: Hargrave has to get his mind right. That's a shot across the bow. Every move is designed to make the player do more, to push them to do more than they thought they could, or to break them and show the weak link. Either outcome is a win for the Bucs. The psychological advantage cannot be measured, but it has dominated inside and outside of the white lines. Control the game, make the opponent concerned about your next move. That is the gridiron high ground. Own the opponent's thoughts and fears. The fears of what could happen is a powerful distraction, and thus the tremendous advantage. Fear of the unknown is what keeps coaches up at night and make them do stupid shit on the field the next day. Finally, the Bucs have a coach who knows this, one who you can bet will use it in practice, in the meeting rooms, on the field as well. Weed out the weak links on the team. They are lost waiting to happen. Hold people accountable, or the team will fail. Control the game. Own your team's actions and force the opponent to do what you want them to do. That is the benefit of a coach in football. And I think the Bucs have that. Only time will tell. Bruce Arians and Jason Light are building this Buccaneers team to win the NFC South. I mean, you think about it. Carolina, former league MVP Cam Newton, basically a linebacker playing quarterback. Christian McCaffrey, fast, agile, catch anything. Greg Olsen has been dominating the Bucs for years. They don't really have a receiving threat, but Cam's always dangerous when he's in the pocket. The Falcons, former MVP Matt Ryan, Devontae Freeman, he can run it, he can catch the ball. Austin Hooper, big, strong, physical. Julio Jones, perhaps the best wide receiver in the NFL, at least in the conversation. Calvin Ridley, emerging threat. Mohamed Sanu, maybe the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL as well. And then you have the Saints. Drew Brees. They've been calling him a first ballot Hall of Famer for 5 or 6 years now, and the guy's still playing. Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas catches balls in the 80 percentile range. Those are insane numbers. And then they got Cameron Meredith, Ted Ginn Jr., who's always dangerous, and Alvin Kamara, who has had that number for ever since he came into the league. He's running between the tackles, he's running outside the tackles, he's catching the ball in the flats. He's had the Bucs number. You have Jarrett Cook, who they just added, tight end, dominant, fast, physical. They add that to already potent offense. The Bucs needed to be able to cover. They couldn't do it. Bruce Arians and Jason Light set out to fix that. I think Light delivered. So as you can tell, I'm a little bit pumped up with Bruce Arians, but I have to say this. In my opinion, if the Bucs are going to be successful in 2019, if Todd Bowles is not the number one reason, he'll be reason 1A. I know some of you folks are thinking, but what, Tree? You mean won't be BA fixing Jameis? I say absolutely not. The problem with the Bucs has not been the offense for a lot of years. It has been the defense. Until the defense is fixed, the Bucs will continue to lose no matter what Jameis Winston does on the field. Just let's go through some stats. Just listen to this. The Bucs defense finished 27th in total defense in 2018. I'm not sure how they come about that number. I tried to figure it out. I couldn't. But let's go through what it's built up with. The Bucs gave up 29 points per game, second worst in the NFL, losing the top spot to John Gruden and his Raiders at 29.2 points per game. The Bucs allowed 40% on third down. Quarterbacks completed 72.5% of their passes against the Bucs, the worst in the NFL. They allowed 8.2 yards per play, tied for the worst in the NFL. 6.1 combined yards per play, second worst in the NFL. The defense allowed 34 touchdowns, the second most in the NFL. Quarterbacks have averaged a 110.9. Yeah, you heard that right. 110.9 passer rating against the Bucs. That's the highest passer rating given that was allowed in the NFL in 2018. But it goes further. That 110.9 passer rating ties the 0-16 2008 Detroit Lions for the second worst in the NFL all time. They were second only to the 2015 Saints, who owned the top spot at 116.2 rating. In that year, the great Drew Brees had the second of three consecutive 7-9 records. He passed for 4,870 yards in the same year. They gave up 116 passer rating. He had 32 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, and he went 7-9. The following year, he turned around in 2016 and put up 5,208 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions, and they still went 7-9. Some things a quarterback can't make up. He cannot get over some things. Sometimes you need a team around you, no matter how good you are. But I digress. Every quarterback in the NFL wanted to play the Bucs to give their passer rating and other stats a nice little bump in 2018. But still, not all the defense was terrible. Now, the Bucs managed to get 38 sacks, which tied them for 19th place. Not great, but not horrible either. That immediately points the compass to the true north of the problem, the secondary, and maybe a bit of deficiency for the linebacker play as well. When you couple all of those stats with the fact that the Bucs passing offense was first in the NFL, the passing touchdowns were third in the NFL, the total touchdowns were 8th in the NFL, with the total offense ranked at 12. One can safely say that the offense was not the biggest problem that the Bucs have or had. That's where Todd Bowles has to come through. This is the Todd Bowles defensive philosophy.
Well, they're part of the front, but, if we're getting there with the interior guys, we won't blitz. If we're not getting there with the interior guys, we'll blitz a little bit. So it's a 3-4 and a 4-3. I mean, a lot of the league is played in sub-personnel anyway, so we'll have 4 down quite a bit.
Has the rule changes affected the way you scheme teams now, where you want more guys in the secondary because of the protections that the quarterbacks are getting, the wide receivers, that it's more of an air attack than it used to be?
I don't think it's the rule changes. I think it's the offensive schemes of the game. The game's gotten a lot faster, especially out on the perimeter and the edge, where you don't see as much power running. So there's a lot of things out on the perimeter where you need a lot of faster guys.
Unpredictable, tight coverage, speed. Lots and lots of speed. The first hurdle the Bucs fans have to get past is the mindset, more like the question of pass rush versus coverage. I was one of those folks on Twitter during the draft banging the Twitter table for pass rusher, specifically interior pass rusher, because I had seen the writing on the wall that McCoy was not going to be on the team in 2019. I was surprised that two quarterbacks did not go in the top 4 picks. Unnecessary wrinkle in my little estimation for the Bucs to have a decent shot at getting Quentin Williams. Yeah, it was just a dream, anyways. I would have been good with Ed Oliver as a second prize. So I have to admit that I was surprised when the Bucs took Devin White. I definitely thought they were taking a pass rusher. And then I really sat down and watched the Devin White tape. And wow. So what the Bucs did in the draft was load this team to win the NFC South. That was the goal. I don't know if they'll get there, but it was a hell of a swing. It started out with Devin White. His speed and athleticism will be perfect for the Todd Bowles defense. And you have a sideline to sideline demon, explosive, the ability to attack the ball downhill and to blitz. White's going to excel in this system, and I'm going to get into how that's going to happen. Second round, they go with Sean Murphy-Bunting. I like that kid. Bunting is your prototypical press man corner. Good build, 6 foot, 195 pounds, 4.2 speed, 4.42 speed. He was the 4th best DB with a 41.5 vertical jump. And then in the third round, you have Jamal Dean, cornerback out of Auburn. Dean is a speedster. I like him as a corner in the Todd Bowles defense. He can win the one-on-ones he has the speed and the size to go up against any NFL receiver. Is he going to be able to do that in the beginning? Absolutely not. He's going to need safety help over the top. But when you look at the measurables, 6'1", 206 pounds, 31 3/4 inch arms, and a blazing 4.340, Dean has the tools to become a steady presence on the outside. I think he's going to be perfect for this press corner in the Todd Bowles defense. You go to the third round, the Bucs drafted Mike Edwards, safety out of Kentucky. He's very, very, very intriguing. He's going to be a box safety more than likely. He'll play in the slot. He'll be one of Todd Bowles' attacking safeties. This is going to be a very, very, very intriguing thing to watch in camp. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later as well. Anthony Nelson out of Iowa. Oof. Big guy. Long. Excuse me. Long. He's strong for his size. Relentless motor. He's the Jason Light prototypical defensive end outside linebacker. He likes him long, he likes him tall, he likes him strong, he likes him with relentless motor. I picture him as a going inside very, very, very early. Nelson is probably the greatest threat to William Golston because they are very, very, very similar, except for Nelson is potentially a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic. Terry Beckner Jr., defensive tackle. He's a project, 7th round, always are projects. But I'm really impressed with his hands. He has very natural, active hands, and they're purposeful. They're strong, and he already knows how to use them. So that's enough about the draft picks. Moving on to the other off-season acquisitions. I'm not going to talk about a bunch of them. We went after Shaquille Barrett, Ndamukong Suh late. Shaquille Barrett he has potential. He's been hiding under the Von Miller rock for his entire career. How do you get on the field when you got Von Miller, out there who's not going to leave the field? You're not going to kick him off the field. So Shaquille Barrett has been waiting for the opportunity, and now Jason Light gave it to him. He's a kid in a candy store. He's looking for this opportunity, and he got it. I'm really, 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 really excited to see what he's going to do, because until JPP gets on the field, he's going to get a lot of playing time. He's going to get what he came here for. He wanted the opportunity. He said, all I want is an opportunity. He said that. And he's got it now. See what happens. Ndamukong Suh, though, I think that Ndamukong Suh is the most important player signing of this offseason. Not that I think he's the best player, because I don't think he will be, but it's his toughness, is his alpha dog lead enforcer spirit that this team has been missing. It's been needing for a decade. No one feared the Bucks. Not since Sapp walked out of the building. They've become soft. That's the worst possible label for a defense. The 2018 numbers showed it. Back to what I said earlier, one of the greatest advantages a defense can have over his opponent, especially the quarterback, is fear. The quarterback has a half dozen things going through his mind in every snap. Snap and pre-snap. If one of the dominant things in his mind is, will I make it out of this game intact? That quarterback is simply going to be less effective. No quarterback has feared the Bucks for a long time. Those days are over, thanks to Jason Light and the set of stones that it took to fire Gerald McCoy and hire Ndamukong Suh. That move was a career maker or breaker for Light because of the popularity that McCoy has. Light had to know this. Light did what he believed was best for the team, no matter the personal consequences. And I applaud him for having the stones to do that. And I agree with the move 100%. Buck ball, thanks to Ndamukong Suh, could be back in this defense real soon. This is my summary in the beginning because it will help you to understand where I think the focus of this defense is. Create confusion and indecisiveness pre-snap and immediately after the snap. Take away the first read with press man-to-man coverage, and then add pressure to Tace.
Looking forward to, how much Levante's always been a stack backer. Let's see what he can do in a situation where we're rushing him more with his speed. Dayon is a guy that can play safety. Will, stack backer, Mike linebacker. Same thing with the D-line, Golson put maybe a little more weight and do his natural thing, Nassib, stand up, get down. I mean, he's a cat we can put anywhere. JPP hasn't played over a guard much, but he's going to. And I think he's going to like it, And there's a bunch of pieces there. Shaq Barrett is a slippery guy that I really like because not only is he a really good third down player, he's a good special team player. I think the biggest signing for us was our punter. I think he handled two parts of the kicking game. That was, when I came in, that was the glaring thing, special teams. And I wanted a kicking coach to work with a kicker and punters and make them better. Cairo now doesn't have to kick off, so hopefully his range, we can get his range back because he's not wearing himself out kicking off in practice. because Bradley can do all that. So Bradley was a huge signing for us.
The starting inside linebacker is a no-brainer. Levante David and Devin White are going to be lining up in a defensive scheme that is basically, if you dreamed it up and wanted to pick two players, it would be Devin White and Levante David for this scheme. This is perfect for the Todd Bowles defense. These two guys are going to be blitzers in the run. They're going to be blitzers in the pass. They're going to have short area coverage on fast running backs like Alvin Kamara, who has run circles around every linebacker we've ever had. He can't do that against Devin White. And they're going to be able to attack the middle with holes opened by two of the strongest interior defenders in the NFL, and Ndamukong Suh and Vea. These guys are going to eat. They're going to eat well. It's going to be a lot of fun watching those two get at it from sideline to sideline and wreaking havoc in the backfield. The box safety roles, Jordan Whitehead and Mike Edwards. I mentioned Mike Edwards earlier. Both of those two guys are the prototypical box safety in the Todd Bowles defense. That's a role that made Tyrann Mathieu's career, who spent a lot of time attacking the backfield in the run and blitzing. It's the role in this defense where you get to make plays all the time. You're closest to the line of scrimmage. Your job is to be everywhere and anywhere. That safety shows up all across the front line. You never know where they're going to show up next. You make plays. Both of those guys are going to want this. The key component of the box safety in the Todd Bowles defense, you have to love to hit. Oh my goodness. Mike Edwards and Jordan Whitehead love to hit. These guys live to lay you out. It's going to be fun to watch. Free and strong safety have to be athletic with good instincts, able to play single high or handle rolls, in when you have a two safety look, cover two. Sometimes they'll have to come in on blitz, but where they really have to have the athletic guys is that Todd Bowles likes to do. He likes to execute delayed blitzes. You need pure speed for that. You need to be able to come from 15 yards off the ball and get into the backfield in a hurry, timing it perfectly, and putting pressure on the quarterback, putting him on the ground when you get the chance. It takes pure speed. It takes instincts. Not everybody can do it, even if you have the speed. Should be interesting to see who shakes out. The cornerback in the Todd Bowles schemes are in press man most of the time. The prototypical press corner is long, rangy, good feet, good recovery skills, and great hands. That's what the Bucs drafted in the first two picks. A slot or nickel corner has to step in when the Bucs face dynamic slot receivers or a third receiver. I think Hargraves is perfect for that role. Yeah, I said it. I think Hargraves will lose his outside corner job to the two rookies. I think the Bucs start two rookies this year. They just have the athletic skills to do what Todd Bowles appears to do, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. And then there's the dime packages where teams might go four wides or trips with a very athletic tight end, such as what the Bucs will face in week one, as a matter of fact, and the 49ers and George Kittle. You have Carolina's Greg Olsen and the Saints, and they just acquired Cook just before John Gruden shut the doors on the Raiders' garage sale. I can say that Carlton Davis will make his money in that role. He's the perfect size to take on those type of tight ends. He has the speed that he can handle that type. He can handle tight ends, but he's not fast enough to handle guys like Julio Jones. But he's a press corner. He's big. He's strong, and he will get up in your face He's perfect for that role. He lacks a pure speed for the outside. I think that's where he ends up. And then you have Jamal Dean, who will more than likely be the guy you see shadowing Julio Jones with a safety always nearby. My first thought about the Todd Bowles defense is the only thing that is certain is that nothing is certain. That's literally the best way to sum it up. If you look at a game in the Todd Bowles scheme and follow it from play to play to play, you'll be hard pressed picking out two plays that are the same, two defensive lineups that are exactly the same, where the players execute the same play. There may be some, but I tell you what, they're going to be hard to see. It is really difficult to know not only what play Todd Bowles will be in next in his defense, because that's next to impossible, but what play the defense is in when they're clearly lined up in their positions on the field. It is the art of deception and covert attacks. I think I'll call it the SEAL Team 3-4, ST-34 defense. That's what I'm going to call it for short, ST-34. The most important pre-snap duty a quarterback has is to set protection. Paul Kowalski, ESPN staff writer, wrote an article back in 2012, just as the NFL quarterbacks were making a more active role in controlling the entire line of scrimmage. He reached out to a guy who knows a thing or two about quarterbacks, our own Bruce Arians, who he questioned about the moves to ask the then rookie Andrew Luck to call protections most of the time. Arians said this: personally, I think it ties the quarterback into everything. I don't think the center can see what the quarterback can see. When the center depends on the middle linebacker because of safety locations, he gets fooled too many times. The quarterback can see everyone's body language and everything else. That's his job. He's got to know who the mic is, where the safeties are, for him to know his hots and sights. There are a lot of offenses where the center does it because the quarterback doesn't throw hots and sights. They don't have them in their offense. I'm not one of those people. Translation: if the quarterback needs to know where his hot reads are when there's a blitz, he has to know where the pressure's coming from. That's going to be a tough job when opposing team face the Bucks in the Todd Bowles ST-34 defense. The advantages of the 3-4 scheme is better gap control because there are literally more players on the defensive line and more athletes on the field because the outside linebackers are usually more athletic than the 4-3 defensive end cousins, and more versatility because teams can move smoothly between 3, 4, or 5-man fronts on the defensive line. That is the basis of where the team shakes out in terms of roles as a pre-camp look. We'll know more starting next week and after the first preseason games. But what makes me think these things about the Todd Bowles defense? What does the tape say? What did Bowles do in his final year as defensive coordinator in Arizona? Unfortunately, the All-22 film is not available for those years, so we have to rely on game film. But you can get quite a bit of information from it. I've looked at a lot of Cardinals games with Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles at the wheel. Let's dive in. Here you have your basic 3-4 defense. 3 down linemen, 2 outside linebackers standing. Cover 2. The corners are in press man. This is your basic anticipated run defense. In this 3-4 basic lineup, we can see how the outside linebackers have responsibility to drop in coverage to take away the late check down from the opposing quarterbacks. These are the types of plays that I expect to give the new defensive players the most problems earlier on, at least until they get all of their defensive assignments down. 3-4 defense, single high safety in cover 1. Devin White and Levante David are going to eat from this type of formation. Look at how the inside linebacker is showing blitz on this likely run play. Attack the ball downhill. Speed, power. This type of play was made for David or White. This is a 3-4 man coverage set. Off coverage, which makes it difficult to see. This wide receiver shift identifies the man coverage for the quarterback. Here's another 3-4 set. Or is it? This is actually a 4-3 under with an inside linebacker showing blitz. Single high safety in cover 1, man to man. But the inside linebacker drops in coverage, and this player that is likely a safety generates the outside pressure. For opposing quarterbacks, this will be nearly impossible to know pre-snap. This is the 4-3 nickel package. 4 down linemen looks like an off-man coverage. Cover 1. But no, they are actually likely in zone coverage. One of the features I have surmised about the Todd Bowles defense is tight coverage, even for players passing in and out of zones in zone coverage. Once the offensive play is executed, defensive players are always near the pass catcher. Pre-snap, well, that's a different story. This is your basic 4-3 alignment nickel package to handle 4 wides, trips stacked. They're in cover 1. One note that I've noticed is the way Bowles handles stacked receivers. The lead receiver gets pressed, but the DBs covering the other 2 stay back and cover whatever receiver breaks to their zone. That eliminates the problem of rub routes. But that is not Kirk Cousins' biggest problem here. This is again where David or White will eat. I say or because this appears to be 6 defensive backs and 1 inside linebacker on the field. The inside linebacker and a safety both fire into the backfield. It will be interesting to see if that safety will be Whitehead or Edwards. Tough to know before the live bullets start to fly. Which one will win that job? This next 4-3 alignment will also be a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Here they're in press man, cover 2 with safeties playing halves. As the quarterback sets up, the strong side safety moves up into the box and the weak side safety moves to a cover 1. The strong side safety blitzes, followed closely behind by the inside linebacker. My guess is that there is a strong pucker factor happening right now under center. Pressure forces the quarterback to go to his hot read. Short gain. I just showed you how Bowles handles trips in man-to-man coverage defense. Don't expect that to happen again. Here he protects the boundary in a close game with a very good zone coverage defense. Athletes on the field. Protect the line to gain. Cover anything that moves. Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles love to blitz. I'm going to guess in this case, Bruce Arians switched over. Send everyone. This is actually a 4-3 under that looks like a 4-2 showing linebacker blitz. The quarterback read has to be that the safety is covering this receiver in front of him and the inside linebacker is coming on a blitz. But that's not what happened. The inside linebacker drops into coverage and the safety blitzes. The hot read was the slot receiver on the shallow crossing route. But that hot read was gone because the QB expected pressure from the middle, the area he thought would be vacated by the blitzing inside linebacker. But the pressure came from the outside. His hot read was covered by the player that he expected to come on the blitz. Lots of teams show blitz and drop out, but not many put everyone on the line of scrimmage and still manage to take away every outlet when they drop into coverage like the Todd Bowles SEAL Team 34 defense. The deception in this scheme is mesmerizing. It's going to be fun to watch if you're a Bucs fan. This is one of my favorites for its sheer deceptiveness. There are just 2 down linemen on the field. Outside linebackers rush standing up, and the inside linebackers are playing off. The outside linebacker drops into coverage, but both inside linebackers blitz, with the free safety moving into the box to cover the short outlet. The entire middle of the defense shifted. Confusion is a problem for the quarterbacks in this type of play. This third and short play demonstrates the need for tight man-to-man coverage for the Todd Bowles attacking style. This is a helmet for every helmet defensive play. and beating your man to get the ball. This is football. Once again, 9 players up on the line of scrimmage. 1 safety moves into the single high position. But only 4 players rush the passer. The rest take away the quick reads and protect the line to gain. This is deception. Nicely executed. Todd Bowles is a former defensive back, and he loves himself some defensive backs. Here we have 7 DBs on the field, 3 down linemen on a 3rd and long. This play, by definition, answers the rush versus coverage question from the standpoint of our defensive coordinator. The answer is coverage, at least with this team. Three on the D line, 1 inside linebacker, and a whole lot of athletes. The Bucs safety role is going to be the prize of this defensive scheme because it represents so many opportunities to make plays. With 2 running backs in the backfield, Bowles sends a safety into the box. 2 down linemen, couple of outside linebackers standing. A 4-3 formation showing safety blitz in a single high safety set. But Todd Bowles sends one of his inside linebackers, like he loves to do, but drops the strong side outside linebacker into coverage. That's 5 players attacking downfield with 1 coming from the inside where the quarterback could not have possibly known it was coming. That outside linebacker takes away his hot read, forcing the quarterback to go back to what should have been his first read on this play before he decided that it was a bad idea with the blitz that he thought he saw. Confusion, the cat and mouse game. Todd Bowles was the cat on this one. This is simply the benefit of the quarterback facing relentless chaos. After escaping that sack, the quarterback had a receiver open, but the pressure, the relentless pressure, sent the clock off in his head, and he just got rid of the ball. Confusion sets in. 3 down linemen, basically a 3-3 front. The quarterback had to be thinking, what the hell? This is a cover 2 with press man on the outside, 1 corner playing off, which means that he could cover or he could blitz in this system. But the pressure comes from the other side, sending the quarterback's outlet to the weak side, but that is also covered by the lone inside linebacker who comes in on a delayed blitz, and 1 stays home and takes out the outlet check down receiver. This is what will keep opposing offensive coordinators up at night. How do you scheme for this? Coverage versus pass rush again. 3 down linemen. That weird 3-3 formation again. 7 defensive backs on the field in a 3rd and 17 protection defense. This time they send the strong side linebacker on a delayed blitz. It's never the same. Deception and confusion is how he wins. Doubt, confusion. In a cover one, everyone pressed. The inside linebackers are off. This is first down. One inside linebacker moves up showing blitz, but he holds. And the other inside linebacker goes in for a delayed blitz. The results of relentless confusion and a few points down in the 4th is a mistake waiting to happen. So what did you get out of that? The pressure comes from everywhere. Oftentimes the last place the opposing team expected. Even if they didn't get home as the game wears down, there's a knock-on effect, especially for the quarterback. Pressure equals mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities. Opportunities equals turnovers. Turnovers contributes to wins. All of this film was from 2014 Arizona Cardinals season. Alex Okafor led the team in sacks with 8. Calais Campbell had 7, the 2 most on the team. The team finished the season with 35 sacks, a respectable number, but it was only 24th in the NFL. But sacks are an often overrated number. It simply gives too much praise for a single stop. How is a tackle for loss different from a sack? Both are a loss of down and a loss of yards. Short of a turnover resulting from the play, they're basically identical. That's a conversation for another day, but it's worth noting. The other thing that pressure does is to cause errant throws. Bucks fans should know all about this. The Cardinals had 18 interceptions that year, tied for the 7th best in the NFL, 3 of which were pick sixes, tied for the 2nd best in the NFL that year. The other number that really counted in the 2014 Cardinals defense's stats was the number of points per game allowed, which was 19.4, top 10, coming in at the 9th best. How many games would the Buccaneers win if they could hold teams to 19 points a game? Yeah, that would be pretty special. I mentioned earlier that if the team is going to be successful in 2019, it will be because of the Todd Bowles ST-34 defense. Think about this. In the last 4 seasons, the Bucs have had a defense that ranked in the top half of the league, just above the line at 15th once in 2016. And that was the only winning season in Winston's career. They went 9-7 that year. Since and including the last playoff appearance in 2007, the Bucs have produced a defense that ranked in the top half of the NFL in points per game allowed 3 additional times. And in each of those seasons, the Bucs had a winning record. Let that sink in. So once again, ask yourself, what needs to be fixed? on this Buccaneers team. Next week, I'll break down the possible offensive schemes. That should be fun. By that time, we will have a little bit more to work with, perhaps after a few practices that will be open to the public. Before I close, though, I'll leave you with this thought to consider this week in the opening days of training camp. Jameis Winston has been practicing against the NFL's worst secondary for the entirety of his career. He literally had no real competition to throw against, then had to turn around and face real competition in games. In a game, how does a quarterback learn to stop putting the ball where he has been consistently practicing putting the ball every day? How does that poor secondary talent in practice contribute to what appears to be the unwise choices that Winston makes on game day? We may never know, but I know this for certain. Iron sharpens iron. Jameis is iron, and he's never been sharpened, at least not at practice in his NFL career. Expect some mistakes early in training camp, but remember this: those mistakes will give the Bucs a better quarterback because he has teachers now. Remember to subscribe, crush that thumbs up button, and leave a comment below. And follow me on Twitter at @KFromFLA for advance notice on every new show as soon as it drops. Until next week, go Bucs.
I'm not about building. I'm about reloading.